I find this race to the bottom to feel some sort of deep-seated sentiment of sympathy for Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, you can interpret it as complaining. Some of them
you don't want to. It doesn't suit your argument.
No, but I'm saying...
We happen to be objective.
I said
it did. Ronaldo's vitriol towards Manchester United comes with the fact that he wasn't afforded the courtesies and luxuries that he thought he was entitled to. When Piers does his interviews with Ronaldo, that he doesn't bring a smoke machine or dry ice because he blows another up Ronaldo's backside.
I'm not with you. We need a strong Manchester
you use an abacus. You use an
abacus. We don't.
Yeah. It's one of the biggest digital footprints in football around the world. So pack it in, Jim.
Now, spare a thought for Mr. Danny Murphy, because Simon, while you and I were in our respective apartments getting off to sleep, Danny was trying to get home. And Danny was hit with roadblocks, all sorts of nonsense going on to your route home after your game at Tottenham last night. You're on duty for talkSPORT. You get into the car and then you're sent all over the place. It's not on, Danny.
It's not on, but it's part of the job, isn't it? They decided to close 2 lanes on the A13.
Well, public transport is not good enough for you.
I can't travel on public transport.
No, coming from you, that's rich.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, man.
No, I kind of messed up the diary when I agreed to do the Tottenham game. I didn't realise it was the same night as Liverpool Madrid, so I was kind of watching that on an iPad and watching the Tottenham game. But Tottenham did better, actually. It was a decent performance from them, although the opposition was, let's say, below average.
Yeah.
From what I'm led to believe, Liverpool had their best performance of the season, so that's good for them. And
well, I mean, they won. And I was delighted about that. I was very disappointed in Real Madrid, Simon. I don't know if you locked into it last night, but I'm pleased for Liverpool. I'm pleased for Slot.
Are you?
Trent, yeah. I wasn't pleased at the reception Alexander-Arnold got.
It was inevitable, though, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but was it? And why should it be? I mean, I found it absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I think one of the problems with it is that if I think back to my first year at Liverpool when Manaman, Scouser, seen out his contract to go to Madrid, there was a little bit of discontent, but nothing like this. And mainly, I think
social media has become more prevalent, hasn't it?
That's exactly right. You've got social media, the frenzy around football now. Every day it's talked about.
And the benefit of that is that the game gets bigger, richer, and the players benefit from it.
Yeah.
I mean, you listen to certain Liverpool fans, they will believe fundamentally to their core that Trent Alexander-Arnold curated an outcome that only benefited himself, and didn't allow Liverpool to put in a situation where perhaps that Real Madrid had to bid something for him.
Yeah.
And so they might have some legitimacy about that. But he's not Trent Alexander-Arnold's job to protect Liverpool. It's Liverpool's job to protect themselves. The flip side of the conversation is, so what if a few people give you a boo? You made a choice.
Yeah, you got to lie.
You choose to go somewhere else.
Oh, you've got to own it.
And so with that in mind,
yeah.
I mean, I find this race to the bottom to feel some sort of deep-seated sentiment of sympathy for Trent Alexander-Arnold. He made a choice to go to Real Madrid. He made a choice to better himself, and I'm sure he bettered himself financially. And if a few Liverpool fans who live their life vicariously through their club, who believe every aspect of their club is sacrosanct to everything that's important in their life, feel that Trent Alexander-Arnold has betrayed them, you can't have emotion in football, Jim. You can't just say, well, I only want that kind of emotion, but not that kind.
I agree, Simon, but the day started with his mural being defaced. It was all a bit classless.
Yeah.
And you said yesterday Liverpool fans are better than that.
They should be, yeah.
They should be.
But we aren't the arbiters of how people should express their emotions, good and bad. We talked about the fans when COVID was in play and everyone was talking about how important the fans were and how soulless the football was without fans inside the stadium. It comes with 2 price tickets.
True.
One that's good and one that's bad, and nobody complains about the good.
Yeah, yeah. Tony, Liverpool fan. Morning, guys. Jim, Liverpool fans don't care what you think. Never did. Well, fair enough, Tony. Fair enough. But it's not going to stop me saying that I thought last night the reception that Alexander-Arnold got was classless.
He cares enough to text you, though.
Yes, that's true.
I think more importantly, Jim, was the recent concerns about the football on the pitch, irrelevant at Trent, have been put to bed temporarily.
Well, they got away with it against Villa.
First 20 minutes, Villa started the game well, but overall the performance...
Got a big helping hand from the goalkeeper.
Well, on that, Danny, reverting to type, was going back always going to be a formula for Slot to move forward, and I mean by that, Robertson was back, the midfield trio, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, back they came, they got a result.
Well, he has brought them back before and they haven't got a result, but yeah, ultimately he's gone back to a more safe team that he trusts and who understand what's needed. But the bigger picture is the new signings at some point, how they get back in, who do they come in for, all those things. But that's not something that should be overly thought about right now, because they were in such a bad run of form. All he had to do, his main job was to get them back on track and back in contention. Yeah. So he's done that. And things tend to look after themselves, Jim. It's like people, I was listening, I think Jamie was saying before, wasn't he? Oh, Isak won't get in the team.
What do you think about this? Once he's fit, does he get straight back in?
It wouldn't even be in my head if I was Slot, because he's probably another 2-3 weeks away from getting fit again. So he's going to start on the bench. And sure as anything, players get injured and suspensions. Yeah. Ekitike will pick up he could get an injury on Sunday against Man City, and they got no striker. Yeah. So it just works itself out. The great thing for Liverpool in the striker department is they've got 2 really good strikers. Yeah. So let's not worry about who plays when.
Yeah, but if he's available to you, you cannot have £125 million worth of players sitting on the bench, can you?
Well, you can if he's not up to it, not playing well for temporarily. You can.
Not up to it.
You cannot have in whose mind, the player's mind or the owner's mind. Whose mind are we talking about? Because the owner wants a team to be winning, and so ultimately he wants a team on the field. Are we talking about managing the players' expectations, or are we talking about managing the expectations of whom? Media and owner.
Isak right now has got no argument to say he should be playing, because A, he's not fit, and B, when he has been fit, he's not played as well as Ekitike. So when he gets himself fit and he starts playing well, and he comes off the bench and scores, and Ekitike has a bad few game, all of a sudden he goes in and it flips, then we'll see. But Isak's quality is undoubted. Yeah. So he'll get himself fit, he'll get himself right, and then there'll be a conundrum. And that's fine to have, especially if you're successful and doing well in both the competition.
I just think you don't break that kind of record and smash the transfer record in terms of the fee and say, there you go, take your place in the bench.
No, the obvious plan was to get him in to start him,
Yeah. Anyway, Liverpool won it. The bottom line is they won it and Real Madrid lost it. This was Arne's Slot post-match.
Impressive, because we played against an incredible side, team that's in an unbelievable run of form. Only lost once, won all the other games. So yeah, if you then can win against them, but also with the performance we had, that's very positive. But apart from everything we can say, we beat them because of a set piece. So it's nicer to talk about this if you win, because if you lose, people come up with that I try to find excuses. But a positive set piece balance is the minimum you need to get a result 9 out of 10 times, and that's what we had today.
Are we agreed that Slot needed this? Has it been a restorative week?
Well, it will be less so if they go and lose at Man City on Sunday, but it's a great start. 2 good performances, 2 clean sheets, 2 decent performances. I thought where he was clever last night, and when I saw the team, Madrid played Valverde right back, super athlete, big, strong. I think that was Alonso thinking Trent might struggle with Gakpo's pace and physicality. He didn't even play Gakpo, he played Wirtz off the left and let him go wandering, which caused Madrid problems. I thought that was a clever little tactical tweak from Slot. And I think that if they go to Man City and avoid defeat, then you can say it's been a turning point for them. They looked physically better from what I saw.
I mean, it was a run of 6 defeats and 7, Simon.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Real Madrid played the way that Slot wanted them to play, so that the outcome was important for
they were always going to, weren't they?
Yeah, because obviously we've been listening to Slot telling us that ultimately it's the way the other sides play. That are detrimental.
Well, if you're alluding to the fact when he's asked a question about what went wrong or how did the game go, and then he explains it, then yeah, but
I'm alluding to the fact that against 2 or 3 oppositions, he's complained about the opposition.
He hasn't complained.
He has. He's made it a point of reference that the way
I'd love you to find a quote where he's saying he's complaining about it.
Well, how do you define a complaint?
Well, you say I don't like it.
Well, that's what he said.
No, he didn't.
He criticised the opposition by suggesting, by inference, it was a criticism.
That's your interpretation.
Oh, he was quick to tell us, Danny.
It's a reasonable interpretation.
He came out and explained it.
He didn't like it.
He didn't like it. Simon's got a point. He was quick to tell us. You know.
I think if you go back and listen to the interviews, you won't find any reference saying, I don't like it and I'm complaining about it.
Oh, by the very nature of referencing it, I think you can draw the inference that he doesn't much appreciate it, because the expectation must be, because the alternative argument is, play the way I like.
No, but when you're asking...
He's explaining why... He's not explaining why his team couldn't break that down. He's explaining that the opposition set up in a certain way, which his team didn't much appreciate because he couldn't overcome it.
He didn't say didn't much appreciate. He said we couldn't find
No,
a
he
way.
didn't use it.
We
He-
couldn't find
he
a way to counteract it. He's saying what happened. He was actually giving himself, criticising himself.
No, he said if teams. He actually talked about Man United and said this is what they've come down to.
No, he didn't say that.
Did he?
Did not.
I think,
say,
to be fair,
he did not say this is what they've come
did,
to.
he
did
did.
not. I've watched it 2 or 3
Right,
times.
okay, fine.
And do you know
He
what?
played long balls.
They did play long balls. He did say that. But then even that same week, he had to go back.
Let's get the exact verbiage, shall we?
Yeah, let's. Because I'm telling you, he didn't say that. I know for a fact he didn't.
Danny, there's Matt, the Burnley fan. Guys, honestly, Slot absolutely was complaining.
Yeah, you can interpret it as complaining. Some of
Well,
them
you don't
yeah,
want
you
to.
can.
It doesn't suit your argument.
No, but I'm
We
saying.
happen to be objective.
I
and we
said
think it did.
I said to
And
you,
we're not even football.
We
We
have
have
no
no
skin in the game.
We've no skin in the game.
Unlike you.
The first thing I said to you last week or the week before was that ideally you wouldn't want to hear your manager talking about what the opposition do. I agree, because it does sound a bit whiny.
And
But
complaining.
But when he readdressed it, when asked
wasn't
about
complaining.
this in a conference, he explained himself and actually made sense.
But what's helped him is the last 2 wins, Villa and Real Madrid didn't play direct.
Of course.
So that's helped him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So my original
and you'll probably get the same on Sunday against City.
correct.
Yeah, but nothing Slot can do about that. I mean, it's
No, just this team has to do better to break down opposition that doesn't want to play the way you want them to play.
correct. But he said that. That's exactly what he said.
Certainly, you could argue, though, undoubtedly, that it's been a restorative week for
He said,
Arne
sorry,
Slot, and he needed those wins.
he actually said
It's breaking out again,
the
folks.
fact that Man U played so many long balls and caused us problems with that. He was delighted at how many chances they made against that system because they haven't made that many
Do
chances.
you know what we can
against
do in
other
the break?
teams that
We
played
can,
it.
we can find it.
Find it.
We'll find it.
Find it.
Let's find it. And we'll,
So what do you think he said?
No, we'll see it when it comes out, won't we?
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see
hear
it when
it.
it comes out. Get into the break there, Simon and Danny. You could say we're discussing whether or not Arne Slot had been complaining about how other teams had played against them of late, notably Manchester United. Simon was suggesting that Slot has been moaning and that really it was more to do with Liverpool. It's up to Liverpool, really, according to Simon, to overcome the opposition.
This is what United have come
Slot,
to. He said.
Slot is saying, I'm trying to get there, Danny. Slot is saying, of course, no. It's about how other teams have been playing against us. Focus on that. So focusing on the United performance against Liverpool, in particular, a game that United won by 2-1. This was Slot's take on that post-match.
I think if you play United with so many quality players they have, brought in a few new ones this summer, and if they come to us in a low block, playing so many long balls, then the last thing you would want is going 1-0 down, because that gives them even more belief. And if you would have told me that we were 1-0 down against a United team that played in the style they did, and you would have told me that we would have created 8, 9, 10 open chances, then I would have said to you that I don't think that is possible. But it was possible. So the second thing that went wrong is that from all the chances we got, we only scored 1 goal. And I've said in Holland many times, and maybe I've said it here as well, it's almost impossible to win a big game of football. And Liverpool is a big game with so many quality players on the pitch, to win it with a negative set-piece balance.
To win it with a negative set-piece balance. You're kind of both right in a way. You're kind of both right in a way.
Well, he did.
But you heard him there, Danny, saying it's more really how United played
Look,
us.
the reality
It's
is-
more really about their approach.
The reality is, he is cleverly having a little dig. That's fair.
Yeah.
I was simply saying...
You were
that he-
right, the semantics of it, but I have a superpower,
he's
which
clever.
is interpreting what people really mean.
No,
So I was
but
superimposing that over it.
what I took from that is what he's saying is when a team plays that way and you go a goal down, we still make a load of chances where we should have won the game, right?
Yeah.
So to spin it into a positive, fine. It sounds like he's whinging because it came on top of the Palace stuff, a bit of Burnley stuff, yeah, and that's fair. Of course,
Yeah.
it's fair.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it. But he's quite clever in the way he's worded that, and I don't think people jumped on it because Man U beating Liverpool. Of course, it's a big game.
Yeah.
He didn't actually directly say that he
But it
was
is a duck.
disappointed United.
But it is a
played
duck, isn't
anyway.
it? It does walk like a duck and talk like a duck, so it's a duck, isn't it? He was doing that. If I repackaged the question to you and say, was he having a go about Man United and looking how far they
No,
tried,
but if I
you
said,
think he was?
If I come on here and said
Yeah.
that somebody was saying definitive things and it was wrong, you'd say, probably playing devil's advocate because you're good at it and you do it. You'd probably say to me, didn't actually say that, Danny.
Very true.
You could interpret it a different way.
Okay, the scorecards are in from the judges. Murphy and Jordan is a draw. Wayne Rooney, after Liverpool lost at Brentford, Wayne Rooney was saying this is a time when the manager and the leaders in the team need to figure it out, and quickly. Van Dijk and Salah, they've signed new deals, but I don't think they've really led that team this season. I think body language tells you a lot. They're two top players, but their body language is not right. That affects everyone else. I might be wrong in this, but if I was a Liverpool fan or a manager, this would be a big concern for me. So that stuck in the mind of Virgil van Dijk. And last night, this noise, as Van Dijk called it, he decided to have a bit of a go back at Wayne, because he was asked if that noise, and he was speaking on Amazon Prime, if the noise had affected him. This is Virgil.
I can say, like, for me personally, like, it doesn't affect me, but obviously I'm dealing as a captain with players that might be affected about it. So you have to...
Has the criticism and some of it been fair, do you think?
Of course, just if you lose a game as a Liverpool player 4 or 5 in a row, then there's a fair criticism. That is absolutely normal in that sense. But I think it's over the top at times as well at that point. But listen, that's because we live in a world that with so many platforms, so many people can say stuff and will be picked up and made bigger than what else. But I think it's good that especially ex-players that play at the highest level, played at the top, that dealt with difficult moments as well, to put also a lot of things in perspective, I think.
I'm not saying it no more, because I think I've spared them on. I think we've put them on a winning streak. But no, I think when you win the Premier League, and I think what I've said, it was fair when you win the Premier League and then you go on a run where you lose 3-4 games in a row, which you don't expect from Liverpool over the last few years. And then as Virgil, as you as the captain, I think that's your opportunity then to go and lead the players. And that's what I was saying. I think that happens in football. And I think the response has been great from Virgil, from the team. So
I think if you would watch games, then I would definitely take the responsibility. I think the comment about that I signed my new deal, and then it's like, you know, that's it, and I'll let it slide. I think that was a bit, but that's my personal opinion.
That was all on Amazon Prime last night. Danny, do players take it more personally when it comes from one of their own?
Yeah.
The fact that came from Rooney on Van Dijk, you could see Van Dijk's uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, I think so. And also the content of the topic, because he's not talking about Virgil having a bad day, or he's talking about him changing his mindset because he's got this big super deal contract. And I think that would prickle most people. And then he's put in a position where he stood next to him. I think he coped with it quite well. The fact is, Virgil's had a couple of big moments that have gone against him, like the poor bit of defending for United, first goal. Brentford, he didn't have his best day overall. That's probably their worst performance this season. But it was only, the Arsenal performance at home, Virgil was being lauded. Newcastle away, he got man of the match, he was being lauded. Their games after the contract being signed. So I think what he's saying there is, Wayne, if you watch all the games, I don't mind a player coming out, shows a bit of character, what do you want? He could have not, a lot of players, I'm telling you now, if they'd have said, Rooney's on the panel, you got to go out and talk, they'd have gone, nah.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
But players of substance. I mean, Virgil van Dijk.
That's what I'm saying. He's got
Virgil
substance.
van Dijk has substance. I mean, the only thing with Wayne Rooney is that Wayne has every right to say what he wants to say. He's got to stand it up. And there was an opportunity for him to stand it up, and he could have turned around to Virgil van Dijk. And they don't really want to engineer a confrontation, although it would be good for broadcasting. Yeah. For Wayne to turn around and say, well, here's the reasons why. Because ultimately, I saw a Liverpool team that was in disarray. You're arguing amongst yourselves. You look massively out of sorts, and I think it's a fair comment. It's a bold statement to say. You're questioning someone's integrity. Yeah. Not their performance. You're questioning their integrity.
Do you know where it come from with Wayne? I think the body language one was the reaction to the United first goal, where Virg got caught asleep.
Yeah.
And he didn't get back in.
Yeah.
And people have jumped on that and go, oh, his body language. The majority of Liverpool performances, Virgil's been one of the best players. He's had unlike him, a couple of poor games.
Yeah.
But generally, it's not a physical thing. That's just maybe on the day or whatever. I don't think I've seen a lack of... I mean, if you saw his performance in Newcastle, that's not a player lacking desire and will. And, the performance against Arsenal...
comes back, though, on what a pundit has said.
I don't think...
Even if it's Wayne, it's good that he comes back.
Wayne wouldn't mind either.
Of course.
I think it's healthy, and it's what fans want to see. Players having some character these days and some substance, and the ability
And
to
not being
disagree.
media managed, and not all that stuff. And
Have you been challenged quite a lot? Have players, the odd player, rounded on you about something you've said
I've
along
had a
the
couple
way?
of phone calls in the past.
A phone call?
Yeah, quietly, privately, no problem.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can learn from it as well, because your choice of words can be a little bit cutting or derogatory at times. I mean, obviously, Simon wouldn't know about that. He never does that to anyone.
I can stand it up, though.
What about you? When you played, did you get in touch with a pundit and
No.
say, what are you on about me?
No, that's not me.
No.
No, I would never do that. Because I've always felt that if someone says something derogatory about me as a player or as a pundit or what I'm doing now, by speaking about it and responding to it, I'm justifying their opinion and giving it credence.
Yeah.
I'd rather just say I don't care, I don't care what your view is of me. I'm okay.
Tottenham were in Champions League action last night. In the Champions League, of course, because they won the Europa League last season. And they did all right, more than all right. They thrashed Copenhagen by 4-0. And there was a goal in there from Mickey van de Ven. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a tremendous message that I've just spotted, which mentions Mickey van de Ven in the same breath as Maradona. Darren, guys, good morning. What Mickey van de Ven did last night was like watching Maradona cut through England, as he did in the Azteca Stadium. We were all in awe of what he did last night. He should get a long contract now. He deserves it. Well, certainly van de Ven excelled, and we'll get more from Danny on that in a second. But Thomas Frank was thrilled.
I think it was a step forward. I liked what I saw from Brennan, is classic Brennan. You're running in behind, and I really liked the assist from Xavi. Very good assist from Xavi. So happy that it was a goal from Brennan, assist from Xavi. I like bits from Wilson, and also, of course, he scored. I think Kolo looked like a handful in many situations. He could easily have scored 1 or 2 goals, maybe, in the end. But I think all of them have much more to come, but it was definitely a step forward.
A certain Danny Murphy was in co-comments duty last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You ever played with a centre-half, Danny, capable of scoring a goal like Van de Ven did last night?
Hell no. No. Physically, this guy's exceptional, quite unique. He's like a sprinter. He's a decent footballer. The irony is the little bit of skill and pace he showed initially to get from his out of his own box to go on the run was what he tried to do against Chelsea and got caught for the winner. So it's,
yeah,
the way he plays sometimes is brave or silly, whichever way you look at it, but he's got so much ability. The goal kind of encapsulated everything good on the night, really. There was a feel-good factor there. They were playing a poor side, of course, but they did a lot of things well, and they played with a bit more freedom. And the players after the first goal, like Simons, like Mawani, started growing in confidence. There was some flicks and tricks and round the corners and linking up with each other. Odegaard probably had his best game this season. But the goal was phenomenal show of physical prowess. Good footwork as well, and a great finish, especially after that long run, because a lot of times you go on a long run, your legs go, and you mess the finish up. And the first thing I thought when I saw it was, actually, could you get more out of him going forward than they currently do? And the only way to do that would be to change and play a 3. So if he was playing left of a 3 and he could have license to go and the 2 cover him, because Thomas Frank played that system a lot at Brentford.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's thought about it. Because when you got that attribute in your game, to be restricted, I mean, the Dutch team have played him left back quite a few times because of it, I think. Because they think, go on, as a fullback, you can go. So we might see that evolve at Tottenham as the season goes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Them try and play a 3.
Because they were boozing Saturday night after the game against
Rightly
Chelsea.
so. They were absolutely...
Rightly so. So was this more handbrake off, wasn't it?
Well, they were allowed... I mean, they were playing a much lesser team, so they were physically better, technically better. And of course, when you realise that after 10, 15 minutes as a player, you grow. Everyone wants the ball then. There's more space. You're not getting as closed down as quickly. You haven't got Caicedo coming into the back here and getting the ball off you, or Reece James. You've got these players who are struggling, trying to cope with you. So they did what all they could do. I suppose the biggest plus for Tottenham on the night was at 2-0 when they got the sending off, half an hour to go. There was kind of like is this going to be backs to the wall? But they actually flipped it. They went and killed it off.
Yeah.
So we'd be really pleased with that. I think they've got a fair way to go because at home they've been poor because of their lack of creativity, missing Kulusevski, missing Solanke, missing Maddison. You know, there are reasons for it, but...
Sure, big players for them.
All he could do was react to that performance against Chelsea, and then they've done it, and they've got to follow it up now at the weekend.
Again, I mean, we spoke about Slot at the top of the show, Simon, but Thomas Frank needed this result last night.
Well, yeah, in the immediate term, because people were very critical of his performance on the weekend. I mean, I think he's doing okay.
He is.
I mean, I think they've had some games where they've come back and got results. I think against Sunderland at home, when they would look like a game was going to be lost, they get a goal in the last 5 minutes.
Wolves.
Spurs, was it Wolves? Sorry, yeah, Wolves. You're right. Yeah. I mean, I look at Spurs and I was confounded by their performance on the weekend because it was dreadful. It was poor. It was poor in every respect. I mean, Van der Ven has done. I mean, I remember going to watch Spurs a year, 18 months ago, where Van der Ven did something similar, which was burst through against Everton and left everybody in his wake.
He set someone up.
And everyone was like, "Look at that!"
Yeah.
So he's got it in his locker, and he's a very talented footballer. But I think Thomas Frank is not going to turn Tottenham Hotspur into what Thomas Frank wants it to be in 10 games.
No, they finished 17th, I think. Last year.
So I mean, the fact that people are having a go at them when they were having a go at them on a weekend and they were third at the time, to me, is a bit silly.
Yeah, but you one thing in football is I've seen this so many times. If they'd won all the games they've won away at home in front of the majority of the fans,
the narrative would be different.
60,000 all seeing these good performances. Then you get the hardcore 3,000 going away from home where they've won at City and they've won at Everton, and the losing on the road thing is a bit more forgivable because the fans all turn up at home and they want to see their team. The fact it's gone the other way for them has turned the narrative a bit more negative than it would have done if it was the other way round.
Yeah.
But there is definite room for improvement. They are quite stiff in their build-up and the way they play. And some of their forward players have struggled.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, is there a clear identity yet under Thomas Frank?
Well, yes, pretty much. I've seen what he's done first and foremost, for sure, is made them harder to beat. Their shape's much better. The midfield don't go leaving big, massive spaces. The fullbacks generally play fullback. Under Ange, the fullbacks were more like inside forwards.
Yeah.
The midfielders were breaking the neck to get past forwards and press everywhere. There's a much better defensive structure, so they're harder to beat. The problem is with that, of course, you're not as creative and fluid and forward thinking.
Sure.
You've got to walk before you can run.
No Europe for Manchester United this season, which is extremely strange for many Manchester United fans who are so used to travelling home and away in Europe with their club. And when we think of Manchester United, we think of people in the past like, of course, the standout Cristiano Ronaldo, who has been in a chat, not for the first time, with Piers Morgan on Piers Morgan Uncensored. And various clips are coming out of that chat. And of course, almost inevitably, the subject matter gets round to Manchester United. For someone who achieved so much with the club, is there now something of a strange bitterness from Cristiano Ronaldo towards United? Speaking to Piers, Ronaldo was asked his thoughts on the Ruben Amorim and the job he's doing at United, who last week celebrated 1 year in charge at the club.
He do it to his best. What are you gonna do? Miracles? Miracles is impossible. We say in Portugal, miracles is only in Fatima. He's not gonna do miracles. Even the players, Manchester United have good players, but they don't have, some of them, the mind what is Manchester United is. Right now, they don't have a structure. I hope that change in the future, present future, because the potential of the club, it's amazing. It's one of the most important clubs of the century.
Miracles. Miracles, Danny. This is what he says is needed. Miracles are impossible. He's not over complimentary about this current Manchester United under Amorim. Does that surprise you?
Well, not really, because up until recently, where they've had a little good run, it's been a failure. So he's only stating the obvious, really. He can't work miracles. No, he's got to do better, and he is doing better. More recently, Amorim, with the players they brought in, things are looking a bit better. But I don't think he said anything there too controversial. United are a massive club, yes, one of the biggest, and they are not punching anywhere near to the weight they should be for the size of the club and the money they make. Are they on the right track? Well, time will tell. Give it a few more games. We'll see where they're at. But they're definitely better in recent weeks. Than
I think so, Simon. I mean, are we in the territory of hyperbole to suggest that Amorim needs a miracle to succeed there?
No, I know. I'm always surprised when Piers does his interviews with Ronaldo that he doesn't bring a smoke machine or dry ice because he blows enough at Ronaldo's backside. Look, it doesn't require a miracle to make Manchester United into a good football team. It requires a good football manager and some proper thinking about recruitment and some reinstalling of the basic disciplines and principles behind what Man United, a great side, once before. And if Amorim's got the chops to do that, then it won't be a miracle that does it. It'll be lots of money and a bit of patience. That's not the same as a miracle. Ronaldo's vitriol towards Manchester United comes with the fact that he wasn't afforded the courtesies and luxuries that he thought he was entitled to. In terms of he was able to do precisely what he wanted because he was such a wonderful player once upon a time. He was brought back to Man United. And this idea that Ronaldo, the last set of interviews with Piers, which is a wonderful get, and Piers is one of the few people that can get it, so I'm not going to be too clever about it, but he was allowed to say things that were clearly that either debatable or misrepresentative about how he had conversations with the club president. No one knows who the club president was because it was the chairman probably he was speaking to, probably Ed Woodward or the other fella. So all of those things went unchallenged, but he was very vitriolic in a way. Let's not forget how he engineered a circumstance by doing the interview with Piers Morgan in the first place to get himself out of a Man United contract because he wasn't happy. So he spent his entire time dumping all over Man United because he didn't feel, in my view, I might be wrong, that he was given the prerequisite amount of courtesy for being Ronaldo.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things he alluded to were actually pretty much on the money. Like the leaky roof at the stadium. This is Manchester United.
Yeah,
like Manchester United has fallen further and further behind.
That's popcorn headlines, cheap media crap. That's not going to be the reasons why they're...
No, it was Ronaldo saying it.
I know, but it's cheap crap from Ronaldo. It's popcorn headlines from Ronaldo.
Yeah, it wouldn't be relevant if they just won the league.
If they're winning games, they would care. It's not about that. So it was an easy get to say, well, the roof's leaking or the training ground isn't, and he hasn't moved on to this, that,
no,
and
it was to be fair to him, it was about standards and upholding those standards, and that's what, in his view, Manchester United has always been about.
And I don't think he upheld the standards of his own conduct when he went there. So I think he wants to turn the fingers that he's pointing to other people back on himself at the time when he was at Man United, because I don't think he covered himself in glory either. Look, the fact is, it's Ronaldo. Ronaldo's got millions of followers. Piers has a digital platform that Ronaldo as a get is going to give him huge numbers. What insight we're going to get, what balanced views we're going to get, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, Ronaldo, of course, in there says what many people say, but I mean, he's certainly in a category that he's allowed to say it. Manchester United, one of the most important clubs of the century, and it's always said, "Oh, this is Manchester United. This is Manchester United." Alan Pardew, speaking to Majestic on the final word show last Sunday, said it virtually the same thing, that the Premier League needs Manchester United because this is Manchester United.
For Amorim, I think this is probably what he needed this year, just to sort of work on the team, get his ideas across, sort that energy out in midfield, as you're saying, Jill, and get the striker up and running. And maybe we'll have a Manchester United that we can all be proud of as a country, because, let's be honest, they're still the biggest club in the world.
There's not one football fan in the world other than Man United fans want to be proud of Man United.
Yeah, no, I do. I'm not a Man United fan.
Mate, you are on your own.
I must admit, I'm kind of with Majestic on that one. If you're not a United fan, you don't really give a damn, do you?
No, I think what Alan was probably alluding to is the fact if Man United are successful and powerful and being good again, that it benefits everyone in football. Maybe he's going on that. Well, because it makes it more competitive.
Brand.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, let's have it right. Man United are probably, if not the biggest digital footprint in football, they are one of the biggest footprints. And the reasons why the broadcast deals have appealed so much to the overseas media businesses. That
but has the Premier League fallen off a cliff over the last decade because of Manchester United's decline?
No, but Man United...
So that disproves what you're saying.
No, it doesn't, because Man United have been in the conversation for different reasons. If you continue to decline as a brand, if one of your leading brands within the confines of your business doesn't achieve any value going forward over a period of time, it will eventually diminish the overall proposition. Well, unless you're going to put another brand in there that's as equally as appealing.
Yeah, but that's what's happening.
Who? Well, if you look at, so for example, over Klopp and Guardiola went toe for
Yeah,
toe.
arguably.
Yeah, so Man City and Liverpool went toe for toe. Klopp and
winning
Guardiola.
team,
That was exciting to the worldwide audience. Can you imagine that was Man U and Liverpool?
How's the Man City brand doing if it loses its 115 charges against it? How's the Man City brand doing when we know that ultimately it's a part and parcel of image laundering?
But you agree with me, you don't say a leading brand forever, do you? Manchester United have no divine right to be called, they're one of the world leaders.
Tell that to Coca-Cola.
One of the big brands.
Tell that to Coca-Cola and to John Lewis or whoever which other brands that we think are leading brands that influence the way people think about certain things. The fact of the matter is that do I care whether Man United are successful? No, I don't. Do I think that they're a valuable asset to the overall collateral that's driven the opportunity? Of course they are. There's no coincidence.
A valuable asset.
A significant valuable asset.
Yeah.
The primary asset. There's no surprise that when the Premier League started its engines, Man United had been asleep for 26 years. They went and dominated it for the next 5 years. They won 4 of the first 5 Premier Leagues. Because when the big guns rolled in and the real money started coming in, Man United came alive again.
But the big guns stay the big guns. Real Madrid, possibly bigger than Manchester United in terms of a brand, and currently leading La Liga by 5 points from Barcelona. You stay a big brand because of what you do in the pitch.
And look at the league that they play in. And look at the broadcast revenues that they get in that league. And look at Javier Tebas constantly bitching and whining as the chair of La Liga about the power of the English Premier League, which was in part created and seeded by Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, the big 5 that originally created it, which was Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man United, and whoever else the third one was, or fifth one was, Everton. But the fact of the matter is that it's undeniable that Man United still get more news than most teams do for being crap than other teams do for being good.
And also they've got such a huge worldwide fan base.
Indeed.
They're not losing them because they've had a few bad years.
But does that make the Premier League better off?
Yes, economically, yes. What's your argument? No,
you don't need Manchester United winning the Premier League title to make it a better Premier League.
Nobody said that. What you need is a thriving Man United, adding
strong
value.
Manchester United.
Yeah, and you haven't had that.
Yeah,
and so I would even Pardew, in his most obtuse, which is probably a regular position for him, could argue that people want to see Man United winning the Premier League, or he wants to see Man United winning the Premier League. What you want is the very best brands, the very best version of English football, i.e. its brands, its iconic football clubs, being strong. Because United is a strong proposition, Liverpool is a strong proposition, Arsenal, and also, to be fair, allowing other football clubs like Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa and Newcastle to have a nibble at the top table is important too.
But in the last decade, we've seen record points totals, but we've also witnessed the demise of Manchester United. Hasn't done the Premier League any harm, really, has it?
If you allowed,
answer that.
Yes, because the broadcast deals have gone backwards. So answer that. You've had to give away 30% more product, and
that's not intrinsically linked.
Well, of course it is, because the broadcast deals and the value of the proposition are indexed to the engagement with it. It's also indexed to piracy, of course. But if you want what happened to the Bundesliga to be at one side, like Manchester City dominating it by winning 4 or 5 Premier Leagues, like Bayern Munich have dominated 10 out of the 11 last Bundesligas, you've got a very sterile football framework which will then eventually erode the opportunity, and it won't have the same appeal.
The question is really easy. If Manchester United, Arsenal and Liverpool go head to head for the next 2 or 3 years and there's a point difference at the end of each season, for example, is that going to create bigger audience views and more interest than United not being in it?
Look at the digital footprint. Yeah. Look at the digital footprint of these football clubs and look at where Man United are. And look at the other football clubs and answer, because the way that the world is right now, it's been digital is the traffic that's driving everything. That's the space. Linear broadcasting is catching a cold. Radio's doing well, but television is not. It's catching a cold. So with that in mind, if you look at the digital footprint of Man United and say, is it a valuable proposition? Yeah, it's one of the biggest digital footprints in football around the world. So pack it in, Jim.
No. I'm not with you on it. I'm not with you. We need a strong Manchester United.
We don't. I think the Premier League commercially would definitely benefit.
Yeah.
And I think from a football point of view, it would be beneficial for the pundits and for fans alike. But no, you don't need it for the Premier League to still thrive and be successful. Would it be more successful if United were doing well? Yes.
You've just said it.
Yes, they would.
You don't need.
You don't need it, no.
No.
Does a successful major brand like Man United add value?
Yeah.
And enhance the proposition?
No one's saying it doesn't add value.
Right, so if it enhances a proposition, if you don't keep enhancing something, eventually you stand still. If you stand still, you go backwards. So yes, it is damaging not to have a major brand like Man United being moderately successul.
Simon, you're talking nonsense. Coca-Cola hasn't changed in quality. Manchester United have.
Some people would say it has.
Well said. The fizz has gone out.
Some people,
Manchester United.
Some people would say that by doing Diet Coke in their Coke Zero, they've dilated their own proposition. So it has changed. So what are you on about?
Oh, steady yourself. Do you get into bed at night when your Manchester United jammies on?
No, I don't. But I get into the bed with a coherent argument.
Oh.
Even if it's with myself. It's the only thing I get into bed with.
The only option you got, I was going to say.
We have been talking, or Simon has been talking more relevantly, about why the Premier League needs a strong Manchester United. James, I like that. So we're saying that if Manchester United aren't strong, then we're going to end up with something like the Bundesliga. City winning the league every year. Well, when United were strong, they won, 12 plus Premier League titles.
The point being made, that's a reductive argument. I'm talking about...
Since Ferguson left and United declined, the league has had 4 different teams win the league.
Amongst them,
Jordan's argument doesn't quite stack up, does it?
I'm amongst
to
the
quote
Morlocks.
Simon, pack it in.
No, but that's not the argument I made, was it, you simpleton? I made an argument about whether it enhanced the brand.
Thank you, James.
That's what I made. That argument.
Yeah,
Deal with my argument.
Well, listen. Even if United stay average, the league will still be competitive because you've got other giants in our country. It's not like Germany. You've got Liverpool, giant.
Of course.
Arsenal are getting there. Chelsea have been hugely successful in that since Roman took over.
Yeah.
So we will still have different winners. Man City, of course, with the funding they've had.
That's the competitive landscape of the Premier League's football proposition. I'm talking about the commercial proposition.
No, I hear you.
Which underpins it.
Yeah.
That might have evaded Jimbo, but it was the point I was making.
Well, stay with us. I was about to talk about Erling Haaland getting in for Manchester City tonight, of course, against Borussia Dortmund. We'll get to that. Stephen's a big Manchester United fan. Stephen, where do you stand on this? As a fan, are you in the camp of, no doubt about it, the Premier League needs a stronger Manchester United than it is now?
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon. Good morning,
mate.
Danny.
Morning. Hi.
I think, of course, you need a strong Manchester United. All the media bangs on about is Manchester United. For the past 10 years, we've hardly done anything at all, really. We've won a few trophies here and there, but the most media, all it bangs on about is Manchester United. Manchester United is one of the biggest club in this country, without a doubt.
Yeah, but Stephen, we banged on, to use your words, about Chelsea winning the World Club Championship in the US. We bang on about Arne Slot winning the Premier League with Liverpool at his first attempt.
We don't.
We
talk
bang
about
on
Chelsea
about a bunch
and
of things.
City as much as United.
That's very true, Danny. Well said.
We don't. Man U and Liverpool are always the first time. If there's a big news, when we come in here, I reckon 8 out of 10. If we'd start with United or Liverpool.
That's right, Dan.
All right. Well, listen, Stephen, thanks for joining us. What does Keith, the Arsenal fan, think? Keith, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you all. What a load of nonsense. The Premier League doesn't need Manchester United to be successful. The Premier League is successful on its own. I mean, you had a couple of sugar daddies come in and bankroll the success of Chelsea, Man City. I've never seen anyone around the streets wearing a Man City top before Man City suddenly became successful. The Premier League is successful because of its competitiveness, which is probably more competitive now than it's been since Man United was successful, when it was only Arsenal and Chelsea who would challenge them. And as again, only Chelsea challenged them because of the income and money that was brought in by Roman Abramovich. I find it unbelievable, the amount of backside kissing that everyone does to Manchester United.
Yeah, well, you make some good point. We're not saying need. We're saying the Premier League benefits from a successful Manchester
Where do you stand? How do you react, Keith, when somebody says to you about Manchester United, of course, the biggest brand in world football? What's your reaction?
I think it's a joke. At the end of the day, look, you've got basically 2 teams in Spain, Real Madrid and Barcelona, who are massive, of course. You've got 1 team in Germany who are massive, which is Bayern Munich. But no one's interested in those leagues. People are interested in the Premier League because you've got so many competitive teams. Anyone can beat anyone on a day. And I've been around the world. I came back from being abroad last week. And I can tell you that people say to me how much they love the Premier League. And Manchester United does not come into the conversation at all. And I tell you, whoever's successful at the time suddenly gets fans from around the world. Like I said, Manchester City, I've never seen people 20 years ago with Man City tops.
Yeah.
And now you see them. It's
and when you talk about people backside kissing Manchester United, Keith, you're really suggesting Simon's doing that right now.
No, I'm not suggesting that he does that. I think he makes some very, very good, important points.
There you go.
At the end of the day, Man United are a big club, based, by the way, on the tragedy of Munich. Sorry, not Munich, of the plane disaster.
Yeah,
that
Munich.
is where
Yeah,
their popularity came from, was people felt sorry for them.
Yeah, but it moved on beyond there because the Busby Babes were a thing of their own. Then you had the George Bests of the world, and so you had a raft of reasons why Man United are a legacy and heritage football club, and the European Cup winner of '68, and so on and so forth, and Sir Alex and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But my argument is not that it needs the Premier League doesn't need anything because it's an entity in its own right. It has benefited from a major brand like Man United, which arguably, alongside Madrid and Barcelona, has the biggest digital footprint in world football.
But here's one for you,
It
Simon, and
enhances it.
Keith. And Keith, you can fire in first. Because of Manchester United's decline in the last decade, has the Premier League suffered as a result of it?
No, absolutely not. Like I said to you, Premier League is more competitive now than it's ever been. So many teams are spending money and bringing in the best players around the world. The Premier League is where it's at. No one cares a damn if Man United's successful or not.
So what metric do you measure success by, Keith? So what metric?
Right.
Keith, okay, look at the metrics of measurement of success then. So broadcast deals, besides the overseas broadcast deals, going backwards. You're giving 30% more games to achieve the same sort of revenues you've achieved in the last broadcast deals. The measurement that you want to look at it, you can look at the Premier League as an abiding success because it continues to generate more revenue than the other leagues, or you can also look at it and say, there are real challenges. Comcast may not be at the table for the next broadcast bid because they can't afford it. And all of a sudden, football has a very difficult landscape. So be careful how much you decry or test to the fact that the Premier League is a roaring success and will continue to be in perpetuity.
Simon, with all due respect, the world economy isn't the best place. Unfortunately, over many years, football has become almost an inelastic product in which you can pay, it doesn't matter how much.
Recession-proof, almost, yeah.
But there's got to be a limit. And with the world economy suffering, okay, and people getting, was it illegal downloads?
Piracy's played a part. Piracy's played a part,
where
of
there's
course.
saturation, and there's too much football, you have
that's
supply
rubbish.
and demand.
That's rubbish, Keith. You saw the reaction towards the world during COVID when football was the only product in the world. You saw the televisual demand. I don't think it's about overexposure. I think the bigger issue is about piracy.
Listen, Keith, thank you so much anyway for joining us. Keith gave you a good run for your money there.
I know Keith.
Others would probably
I know who
say
Keith is.
that Keith totally tucked you up like a
And
keeper.
that's fine. It's good to have a good argument with somebody, isn't it? Which is not what I have with you normally.
Thanks so much. Good news coming out of Aston Villa for a great Scottish player, and there are many of them. John McGinn has signed a new contract at Villa Park until the summer of 2028. John McGinn, who, of course, I hope to see in America next summer at the World Cup finals.